But when you came to West Ham, let's take these three players you played with, because Bobby Moore was a great friend of yours. I understand that you follow each other's career. Geoff Hurst, what kind of striker was he?
Well, Geoff was an average midfield player, very, very average midfield player. And Ron Greenwood changed him into a striker. He would never have been a top player if it hadn't have been Ron hadn't changed him. He'd have been a run-of-the-mill midfield player, lower division at best. But Ron changed him to a striker. He worked with Geoff. He worked with Martin Peters every day in training. We would work on near post crosses. We were the first club to leave space for strikers. Hursty would be fantastic at pulling away from defenders, coming back, leaving the space, because that was the space he wanted to attack. And our job as a wide player, or fullbacks as we were, whatever play, put the ball into that space, not look up and want to hit the man, put the ball in the space near post, and we knew that Geoff would get across his marker and he'd arrive at near post and he scored. And he did that time, and he did it in the World Cup. And Martin Peters was the same. Martin would arrive in the box, he'd pull away on the blind side of the defender, come back across the defender, and he'd score so many headed or near post goals. And that was something that Ron worked on. And Geoff was a great player, became a great striker from being an average midfield player.
And Bobby Moore, of course, the legendary Bobby Moore.
Well, Bobby was, I spent so much time with, and when you talk about coaches, I think we need, a lot of you work with young kids, and young kids need somebody to believe in them. They need someone to talk to. You don't realise what it means to a young kid when you go up and give them a little bit of time. I'm a father, I've got boys, and my son played and suddenly, Graham Souness came up and spoke to me today and had a chat with me about my game, and he feels 10 foot tall. Well, Bobby was a young player at West Ham. West Ham at that time they were taking 14 players every year. 14 kids got an apprenticeship, and they had 13 that were going to be signed, and there was one place left. Malcolm Allison, who was probably one of the all-time great coaches in football, he was a player at West Ham, but was coming to the end, and he used to coach the kids on Tuesday and Thursday nights. And he saw something in Bobby that nobody else saw. He thought Bobby was going to be a player. And so he believed in Bobby. But when the coaches sat down, he wasn't on the coaching staff, he was still a player. The coaches decided to give the 14th position of the apprentices, the last remaining one, to another boy. And Malcolm Allison said, hey, no, you've got to take him. This kid's going to be a player. They said, Malcolm, he can't run. He can't head it.
This is Bobby Moore.
This is Bobby Moore. He's slow, he can't head it. And Malcolm said, no, he's going to be a player, I'm telling you. He's going to be his attitude, he wants to be a player. And Malcolm was the boss of the football club. He was a big, imposing character. And the coaches, okay, Malcolm, they gave in to Malcolm, because Malcolm, he wasn't a manager, he was a captain of the club, and he ran the club. And they took Bobby. And Bobby tells me that his first game, or one of his first games, they played Chelsea away on a Wednesday afternoon at Chelsea training ground. He said, and I'm playing against Barry Bridges, who was 17 years of age, but was in Chelsea's first team. He'd scored on the Saturday for Chelsea first team, but was also playing on the Wednesday with the youth team to keep his feet on the ground. He was a fantastic young player. So Bobby said, I played against Barry Bridges. He said, I marked him. He said, I never gave him a kick, Harry. He said, we drew 0-0. I came in after the game. He said, and Malcolm was there. And I thought, oh, great, Malcolm's here. He's going to come over and say, well done to me, And Malcolm came over and said, if I ever see you play like that again, he said, I'll never speak to you. He said, when the goalie got the ball, he said, what were you doing? You're running up the pitch looking for Barry Bridges, wanting to mark him. He said, what have I told you? When the goalie gets the ball, you come back, make the goalie give you the ball. You start playing from the back. Give it out to your fullback, drop off, make an angle, clip it into the centre forward's chest. That's what I've told you to do. He said, don't ever let me see you play like that again. And Bobby, if you looked at his career, and when he played, he'd always come and get it off the goalie, come back, give me the ball, he'd play it out to the fullback, drop deep, make an angle, clip it into the centre forward. And Malcolm through his interest in Bobby. He swears, Bobby, he would never have been a player without Malcolm.
So you
because someone believed in him. We all need someone to believe in you. And I think with coaches, when you've got young kids, give them your time. Go and talk to them. Ask them how their family is. Ask them how they may be in dips, in staying away from home. Talk to them. Make them feel as though you care about them, because it can mean so much to them kids.